Is it possible to feed deer without feeding everything else in the woods? We're going to find out today on this episode of Signal 11 Outdoors. We have a great guest today, Bruce Gray. How are you?
I'm doing great, Steve. How are you?
Good, Bruce. Good to have you on. I don't think we've never met before, correct?
Never in person. I
No,
don't think
no,
so.
I don't think so either. We know each other through the Facebook and all of that
Right,
stuff.
right.
And today we're gonna dig into these are gonna be just off the cuff questions for you because, like I was telling Bruce when I asked him to come on here, is I don't really know a whole heck of a lot about his product. Bruce, just give us the name of your product so we know what the Facebook page is and all.
It's Magic Deer Bait.
Okay, so we're both New Jersey guys. Bruce is a New Jersey guy, New Jersey business. I'm a New Jersey guy, New Jersey business. We're both New Jersey hunters, correct? But the
Yes.
interesting thing is why I asked you to come on was your product is obviously a popular product, and like I said, can it possibly attract deer without all the tons of other rodents that most people who feed deer have to deal with? So we're going to answer all of those questions, but the interesting thing to me is that I really don't know a whole lot about it except from you got a really good Facebook. I guess it's a group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a
Bruce
really
has
good tight. We have a really good tight group. So a lot of great people on it, and we have a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. And so my only education on your stuff is I belong to your group. I've never used Magic Deer Bait. I know not a whole lot of people up where I'm up in North Jersey. You're more down Central Jersey, you call it?
Yeah, it's pretty much the Monroe Township. It's central New Jersey.
Okay. So let's I'm going to start asking you questions because I don't know much about it and your group has just intrigued me. I will be honest with you, if I had the ability to just go pick it up somewhere, and you're going to clear that up for us because I really don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like I'll be at Skip's Outdoors the day after recording this. I don't know how far that is from wherever, and I know the season's over now. But I've been wanting to talk to you about this stuff for a while, so this is going to be great. So, Bruce, why don't you just start out with give us a quick little background about you as a hunter and a New Jersey guy, brief, just so we know a little bit about you.
Okay. Yeah, I've been hunting probably going on 46, 47 years. Um, and lived in New Jersey most of my whole life, but grew up in Western Pennsylvania and started my hunting in Western PA when I was young, but been in New Jersey most of my whole life.
Okay, good. And so you've been hunting in Jersey that many years, or how many years?
Well, I've been hunting. I'm going to show my age, but
Oh, you don't have to.
I've been hunting. I think it's close to 46 years. If I really added it up, might be 47.
Wow.
But yeah, I bow hunted and rifle hunted in PA. We have a hunting camp in Western PA, my brother-in-law, so we go there every year and go up there. But I think I moved to New Jersey. I was probably about 9 years old, but I've hunted PA every single season since then because that's where my
Okay.
family's from and everything else. But yeah, big time New Jersey deer hunter as well.
Good. Awesome. That's those are kind of similar numbers to me as far as the New Jersey end of it goes. The interesting thing is I have lots of friends in PA. I've been invited out there so many times. The only thing in Pennsylvania, I've done a couple of I might have gone small game out there, but I know for a fact I've never deer hunted in Pennsylvania. So
Yeah,
that's actually hard to believe considering I'm in North Jersey,
yeah,
30 minutes from Pennsylvania. But this year that might change. So that's good to hear, Bruce. We're obviously avid outdoor folks.
yeah.
So let's get to what everybody wants to hear about, including me. I want to learn about this Magic Deer Bait. I mean, the name kind of says it all because from what I hear from reading on your group and your testimonies are literally your customers or your
Yeah.
testimonials, and it sounds really incredible. So, give us a little background on Magic Deer Bait, maybe how you started it, and give us some idea what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're going on about 14 years now. I mean, 11 years now. We started in 2014. And it was crazy. My buddy Casey owns a greenhouse, his family, it's a family business, and they sell cut tulips. So they'd cut the tulip bulb off and then they just get rid of it, right? They have to keep dumping that on their farm and stuff. So as being a deer hunter, him and I, we were like, hey, deer eat tulips, right? So they got to love the tulip bulb. So we got a bunch, threw it out, and it took them a little while to figure it out. But once they started eating it, it was like crazy. There'd be like 30 deer on a pile of bulbs in the middle of a field. And so we're like, maybe we could start selling it. So we started packing it and selling it, and it just took off from there. And we named it Magic Deer Bait because there really is something magical about it. A lot of times you attract a lot of different deer that you never see, right? And even some older deer, because they can eat it better than, let's just say corn, right? So it just, right. The name just was like, this is magical. So we just went with that,
Yeah. Well, I think it's a pretty fitting name.
Yeah.
And I think the magic stuff, it could be what you just said. You might, that particular bait, so their tulip bulbs basically was what it is.
Yeah.
So the magic could be that it attracts maybe more deer or different deer than your standard corn. But how about the magical aspect of what it doesn't attract, which is, I think, like I said, I've never tried it. I don't do a ton of baiting up here just because I don't really, it's just not something that I do a lot of because we're inundated with bears. I'm in Sussex County, New Jersey. We're in the hot spot of bear headquarters. So baiting is tough, but tell us about how it works with deer and not necessarily the rodents.
Yeah. So the pretty cool thing about it is mostly just deer eat it. You'll get a rabbit in once in a while, grab a bulb. You'll get a squirrel come in. It's crazy. We even have fox show up once in a while, once in a blue moon. But the majority of just deer eat Magic Deer Bait. So if you just have Magic Deer Bait on the ground and all the corn that you've had there previous is gone, all the raccoons leave, all the turkeys leave. So you're just feeding the deer instead of the whole forest.
Yeah, I mean that is absolutely, that's incredible to hear because what most of us are in New Jersey are used to is feeding everything when you're trying to feed deer. So yeah, that's definitely incredible, magical, unbelievable. I know it's believable because we know it works, but it's just all of those things. Now, you guys, how long did it take you guys to realize that nothing else was touching it?
Oh, it took a while. It took a little while, right? Because when we first started using it ourselves, we would mix it with corn or whatever else we baited with. And then I don't know how, but we just started fading out the other products and just using. So I would do test sessions. Like I'd put a pile of corn over on the left and Magic Deer Bait on the right. And we would just see. And at some point, the deer would just go to the Magic Deer Bait. And then when the corn ran out, everything in the forest left. And it was just the deer was left eating it.
Right. Wow. So let's right away touch on bear. I mean, you didn't mention bear. So it's not a product that bear will eat?
So it's bear will not touch it. And
really,
I haven't touched on that much on my page just because the supply and demand, we're just able to keep up with the deer hunters, right? So, I mean, we move probably 100 bags a day out of the Monroe Township greenhouse location. So, we're not just bagging it to sell to deer hunters because we can only bag it after they sell the tulips, right? So there's a fine line between hunters and selling the product to their customers. So we can only bag it as we cut them. And it just seems we just keep up with the deer hunting community. But when I eventually get to the point where we have more than enough, I will start touching on the bear, but bear will not touch it. As long as you don't have corn mixed in with it, bear will just leave.
Okay. Wow. So after we're done recording, Bruce, you let me know if you want that edited out because the only good thing is you guys you're not really in bear country, correct?
You know what? It's crazy. I'm 10 miles away. We have a bunch of bear, and once in a while they'll pass through my area. I'm in Flemington area, so we don't have a lot of bear right where I live. So I'm just saying I don't have a lot of bear where I live, but just 10 miles up the road further north, there's bear everywhere. So, but we've done a bunch of testing with bear hunters with magic deer bait, even as far as North Carolina. We've shipped some down to North Carolina to a guy that now he's my friend. He totally doubted. He goes, my bear will eat anything there is. He put it out and the bear wouldn't touch it. But deer came to it. So, and up north, I had a couple guys test it and the bear they wouldn't come to it.
Yeah, that's again, that's this whole concept of how it works and what it works for and not for is truly it is magic deer bait. So that's really I didn't even know if bear would bother. I've never heard anybody talk about it. Now I know why. But
yeah,
it's an interesting. I know the way it's almost metered out, where you just explained. It gets produced. I guess it gets bagged. I mean, I've seen the pictures, and it gets put out, and then people stop in and get it when it's available. Yeah. So that alone, kind of right now, is kind of keeping it to your area. Do you have any place that stocks it?
No, we can't, because it's the magic deer bait at this point is a freshly cut tulip bulb. So and then when you pack it in a 50-pound onion sack, it heats up. So at Monroe, we have to keep it in a special cooler at a certain temperature so it stays fresh in the bags. So even like early season bow hunting, it's really difficult for us to put it out in the parking lot because of the temperature. So we keep it in a cooler. So with that being said, unless a place has a walk-in cooler and a refrigerated truck to pick it up, it's very difficult, and it might have a 5-day shelf life in that walk-in cooler when it's warm outside.
Okay. Wow, interesting. All right, so there's a lot of work just in the preparation, if you want to call it the harvesting or manufacturing of the bulbs, and then the storage, the packaging, and everything. So yes. I understand why you guys are somewhat locally localized there. Mm-hmm. Just something that, again, I didn't even write any questions down or anything because this is such an interesting product. I figured I'd have enough questions for you. Do we have an idea, or do you have an idea of the type of nutrients or what it has? Is it something that's just attracts deer that they eat? Do we know if it has any protein or?
You know what? The family that owns the greenhouse, they're from Holland. So, and there is not a whole lot of research through Holland with its nutritional value. We were actually going to send some to Rutgers and see what they come up with, but we haven't gotten around to that yet. And it just seems like we started it a couple of years ago, but like I said, 2014. And it just seems like every year when hunting season comes, for me, I do everything I can just to keep up with the Facebook page, and I show up at the greenhouse every day. And a lot of times I do a lot of visual inspections of the product and keep it on the fresh side to sell to customers. Because like I said, sometimes guys early on would make a mistake and pick a bunch up for people and like bring them up north, and they'd leave them in the truck overnight. And the next day they're already heating up and going bad. So that's really the main reason why we don't have any other locations other than Monroe.
Gotcha. And an interesting thing is I asked you the question, and as you're giving me the answer about the nutritional, I'm sure. I mean, I wouldn't even care, because if it's attracting deer and that's why I'm using it, that's all I needed to do, because I could add protein pellets or roasted soybeans.
Right.
I could add anything I want if I want to give them more protein or carbs, depending on the time of year. But the fact that you could actually attract something that is not going to bring in all the raccoons and the bears in the area is tremendous. And the fact that obviously the deer love it, because I see on your Facebook group, I see a lot, all the photos. So
Yeah.
it's kind of it's definitely completely interesting product. Do you know, is it something that you've ever heard of before, or is it
No,
really no?
it's just something that we've figured out, and
Hmm.
he has such a huge operation, and I've posted videos on my page of the equipment he has just to get it to the level to where we can bag it and sell it. It's and it is pretty crazy, like the behind the scenes of what we go through to get it bagged and keep it fresh. It's a pretty tasking, operation. And when hunting season ends, I'm actually a little relieved that
Yeah,
it's over.
yeah.
It's rough sometimes.
Well, I can understand that, because I'm in the position like you where I go nuts for 4 or 5 months,
Yeah.
and then it's like, just a weight is lifted off your chest, and
Yeah.
it's a much needed break to keep
Yeah.
keep yourself from going crazy. And man, that's labor intensive. What you're telling
Yeah.
us,
Yeah. And
that's labor intensive.
there's sometimes like the guy that they'll be done bagging for the day because the shift ended. I'll go in and keep bagging just so we have enough supply for the next day. And
Yeah,
it's crazy. I forget. I was talking to somebody just the other day. Is how many times I almost had to say we were sold out, but I didn't do it because there's a lot of backlash when I say that. That we're right on being sold out, and then 10 more bags come out, right? And I just let it go. I
yeah.
let it go with that.
Yeah, let me bring something up I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Magic Deer Bait users that are going to watch this, but for people like myself that have never even touched it before, but being on your Facebook group, what's really interesting is, and I'm going to let you explain it. Give us give everybody an idea of how you operate as far as like the honor system, and not only the honor system, but how people let other people in the group know how much is left to try to save people from just driving down there. Just explain that to us a little bit.
Yeah. So over the years, we just figured out what really, really works for everyone on the page. And it is like I'll roll out a certain amount of carts and I'll post the time I brought them out and how many bags there are. And then I just ask anyone that stops in to just post how many bags are left when they leave. And it just seems to really, really work because a lot of people drive from north and south and come up. They don't want to come with there's 10 bags out, and by the time they get there, they're gone. So and everybody on that page, they just really work together with trying to keep that up to date on the page on a daily basis during hunting season.
Gotcha. For the people who do come down there, is there any limit, like only so many bags they can take, or?
You know what? I always hate to put a limit because if you're driving an hour, I don't want you just picking up two. But with that being said, it depends on whether it's early fall and it's warm because you really can't take those home and store them, right? You got to put them out as soon as possible for the most fresh product available. But
Right.
I try not to put limits, and sometimes guys get mad, but you kind of like judge it on where you live, how warm it is. But when the temperatures drop, I'd rather you fill your pickup truck up and take them home because when it's 30 and below, maybe even 35 and below, they stay pretty nice as long as you don't stack them on top of each other and keep them outside.
Interesting.
That's key.
Yeah, interesting. So if these things get, let's say somebody buys too many or whatever, and they put them out, I'm guessing that when they lay them out, the warmer the weather, the more you want to kind of spread them out. Is that correct?
Yeah, I always recommend spreading it out anyhow, just because you want the deer to work for it. Like
Right.
I explain it like acorns under an acorn tree. Just spread it out, and I know you want to keep most of it in front of the camera to see what's coming in, but I always spread the magic deer bait out. And once it's on the forest floor, even if it's warm, they hold up pretty good. It's when they're packed together in a tight bag, they heat up. No different than maybe a bag of apples and you get a bad apple in it,
Mhm.
it just starts to
Yeah.
spread, you know?
Sure. How about the fact? Let's say somebody puts out too much in the warm weather, or mounds it up or whatever for whatever reason. If it does it get to the point where the deer won't touch it, and should it be removed, or just kind of spread it all out real wide and keep going?
Yep. Nope. It can look over the years. I've tested it. I've kept bags in my house. I let it get moldy. I let it drips. It stinks. And as crazy as this sounds, it attracts the deer even more.
Really?
If you put it on the ground and in different areas, it's so weird. It's even happened to me, and I did not believe it until it happened to me. But there's a farm 5 miles from me that I first started using magic deer bait on, and they wouldn't touch it. So I took my own advice that I give everyone, and I went and added corn with it or whatever else you use. And then before you know it, they learn that they can eat it because it's new to them. And then once that happens, magic deer, it's magical, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it can be on the ground. I had a guy in South Jersey that went and bought a bunch of bags, and he put it out, and he kept messaging me, the deer haven't touched it. They haven't touched it. They haven't touched it. A month later, he texted me and said, "You won't believe it. I have more deer in my property than I've ever seen in my life. It's
Really?
it's
I
insane."
believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can only relate that what you just said there to actually it was, I think it was my daughter's softball or something. I got one of the other dads was a South Jersey guy, and he, in the back of his truck, he had bags of, I think, sugar beets.
Yeah.
And I said, I've never I've never used them before. I took those things up there, and man, the deer didn't touch them. And then he did the same thing. He said, well, throw something else on top of it. It took a while, and I threw something else on top of it. But I had all kinds of animals in there, and it wasn't convenient for me, so I never really got him again. But I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. But they, and
So
the key, go ahead.
no, you please.
What I was just going to touch on what you asked a little earlier too is, so we have an honor system, and there's a small door with an honor box. So when we have enough supply, we leave it in the parking lot 24 hours when the temperatures are a little cooler, and then you just roll in anytime you want, grab the bags, and just leave the money in the honor box.
Gotcha. So those bags on the racks that I see on your page, they're not always outside. Depends on the time of year.
Yeah, it depends on the temperature. So, and then over the years, so many of my page members, they learned how to handle them. So they can come and they'll pick some of the bags that have a little mold on it from it being sitting, and that's the ones they take because the deer, they like it even more. But I try to keep
Yeah.
them as clean and as nice as possible for new customers, so they're not like shocked or texting me saying, "Hey, it's no good."
Right. So how big is a bag when they come and get it from you?
It's in a 50-pound onion sack, but we don't weigh it because some of them have more water in them than others, and the bags are pretty darn heavy. Like, I even get annoyed at myself. You struggle to carry 2 bags, and your fingers are like killing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're heavy, but we don't weigh it. You know,
Gotcha. And what does that volume size bag cost people?
$8 a bag, and we
Wow.
kept it that way for several years just because when the economy got a little rough the last few years, we didn't want to take it out on deer hunters, so we kept it $8 a bag, so it's appealing to come and grab a few bags. And once again, you're just feeding the deer. You're not throwing it out for everything to eat.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that right off the bat, that sounds like a great price no matter what. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't pick up, there's really not much in a 50-pound bag that's $8 anymore. We
Right.
know that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, I see all the time, I'm on a whole bunch of different groups, and I see all the time how people are always spending a fortune on products to try to minimize the amount of corn or protein pellets that the raccoons can get.
Yeah.
Or feeders, so they're buying feeders, they're elevating them, they're putting PVC tubes on the legs, wrapping it with aluminum. I've seen people do everything,
Right.
and that costs a fortune. And then the guys that are, and I know we're not targeting bear guys, but the bear guys, they're losing $200-300 feeders every season without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fact that somebody can come up there and once the deer get used to it, can take that bag and just toss it on the ground and not have to worry. I mean, think about how I'm just thinking right now, it must be great for guys with cameras because they're not getting pictures of all the coons and the squirrels and all. And another thing that I've noticed over my years of hunting, if I had a spot that I was baiting, forget the bear. That's a problem where I am. But what I would notice is I'd be in stands or in a climber and I'd be there and just about that perfect magic hour of shooting time, I would see a squirrel get picked off by a coyote that blew me away at how it would zip through there and grab a squirrel. And it made me wonder, I mean, he had to be laid up only 20 yards away and didn't see him. And it makes me wonder when you're baiting and you got squirrels all over and you got all the predators chasing them, then you also have some really weary deer in the area where with your stuff, it sounds like you would eliminate that.
Well, I've had guys tell me that they had 8 bear on their bait piles during deer season. And they wouldn't even go in the woods. So like that's a whole nother thing. You know, you can run them off a little bit by using magic deer bait without corn, because if you keep adding corn to it, then the bear will keep coming.
Sure. No, I got you. So just to get an idea, if somebody takes that bag home, it's 50-pound onion bag, whatever, however many pounds it is, and they throw it out. And let's say the deer are already used to coming in and eating it. How long would that last? Let's say you have, a herd of 10 deer that are hanging around.
Couple hours.
Oh, really?
That evening. One bag with that many deer, they won't leave until it's gone.
Really? Okay.
You see some of my videos when I go out to bait out by my house, the deer come running in and they line up just waiting for me to throw it in the ground and leave.
I've seen that. And I'm not the only one that busts your chops a little bit about that, but it is amazing. I mean, so you just told us that if the deer won't leave until it's gone, it'll eat everything. That shows you the attractability of that product. Yeah. I mean, that is truly attracting deer. And I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the fact that it's only attracting really deer to eat it is, it's really miraculous. I mean, there's a lot of states that allow baiting. And I mean, anybody who watches this is probably going to share it. If you're in New Jersey, you probably heard of magic deer bait. If you're in your area of New Jersey, I'm sure you're using magic deer bait. But I
have one stipulation, though. I won't sell it to my neighbors.
Oh yeah, of course not. No, that's your pile. Yeah, I know that's good. That's what you have to do. You have to you almost have to do like a radius, like only one buyer per like mile.
That's it.
Now it's really incredible. I want to ask you I mean, the cool thing is, as this being your business, I have a business, and anybody kind of in the hunting business, the cool thing, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me, is the stories. When you get a guy that tells you, Bruce, I used your magic deer bait and they finally hit it, and a buck I've never seen before came through, or like during a rut, a buck that doesn't have any clue what magic deer bait is, he's going to come through there. He may see 4 does on it. I mean, how are those, like, do you take those stories like I do? I take those stories as the best part of being in the business. How about yourself? Give us an idea. Have you ever had any crazy stories like that?
Let me tell you, I have so many guys that use magic deer bait and they will not post on my page of the deer they take, because it is a product that, most of your neighbors are using corn. We'll just use corn. You throw magic deer bait in the ground, and once the deer understand they can eat it, they'll run right over top of the corn to get to it. And every year I get private messages, look at this buck I killed. I don't want to post it. I don't want everybody knowing how well magic deer bait works, and like a lot. And I'm like, come on, just post. No, you post a picture. They want me to post a picture without them in it and just say, hey, a customer shot this deer. I'm like, look, if you don't want to post it, I'm not posting it. So
right.
I get a ton of those. It's crazy. They don't want anyone else buying it but them.
No, I know. I mean, I did. I know how it is. I did a video. I did a video last week of fishermen that are using some stuff I make, and they have their own name for the product because they don't want anybody to know
Yeah.
who it is or
Yeah.
what they're using.
Yeah.
So do you have? Is it like a? It's funny because you. I know what you're saying. Is it like a long gravel driveway, or where do they go to get it? Like, because I'm wondering about the guys, like you're saying, that are hiding it.
Yeah.
They're probably like, oh shit, I don't want anybody to see my truck pull out of there, you know.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm sure you have you no.
no, it's in Monroe at Holland Greenhouses, and it's right off of 33. Just it's so easy to get to if you go down the New Jersey Turnpike, exit 8. It's 3 miles from the Turnpike. It's simple to get to. It's a big parking lot. It's a business, big business. And it's called Holland Greenhouses, and it's easy to get in and out of. And there's actually right before the driveway, there's a beautiful. The guy sells meat like brisket sandwiches and ribs,
Oh,
so you can
nice.
even get something to eat before you roll in there.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if you're saying that because you're looking at my size here, but I'll tell you what, that makes it worth it. That makes it worth the trip alone.
No, because I didn't eat dinner yet, and that's all I'm thinking
Oh,
about.
oh, I'm sorry. I mean,
No, that's all right.
I gotta say, I've been busting bruised for probably like 2 3 weeks to come on here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you know, when I started, I'm new to this whole thing, and I'm going to use this channel for my products and stuff like that. But so far, I've been really talking to other people and the products or the hunts they've had. But you were one of the, I made a little list of, of people I'm gonna probably have on over the next 2 months, and
Yeah.
there's some really good names on there, and Magic Deer Bait was one of them. Because being a New Jersey guy, you would think like, he's all, I'm only talking to you because you're a New Jersey company, but you, like I said, what you're doing and what your product's doing, I mean, everybody's going to be sending it to friends to
Yeah.
look and listen and go, what? There's no such thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I constantly have people asking me, well, what do you use that to keep the bear away up here in North Jersey? I'm up in Sussex County. I mean, the only thing I could tell them is sometimes you'll get lucky if you add soy meal or roasted soybean, it might help. But the
Right.
problem is you have to kind of mix that. It's like a 33% protein. So you kind of have to mix it. You can't feed them just strictly that. So I've mentioned Magic Deer Bait to a few people, and they've asked me a little bit about it. And all I could really do is what we're going to do here. We're going
Yeah.
to guide them to your page. They can see the address. They can they'll know when it's out there. So let's make sure we say it now. Just you clarify where they should go to find out the information, the exact name of that Facebook group.
Well, it's Magic Deer Bait. And we sell it beginning part of bow season, and I stopped selling it at the very last day of deer season. So it's seasonal for the season, but I don't run it. I could run it longer past, but I don't. It's just too much. It's too much to do. And then it's crazy when hunting season ends. It seems like all the hunters just disappear, so only the diehards would want to keep it going. So it's just for sale during hunting season.
Yeah, which sounds perfect. I mean, and hearing the amount of work that you're going through and the greenhouse is going through, I mean, at some point you do have to, you have to give it a rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we are working on trying to get a dry product. We had it when we first started a few years ago, and it put a little too much moisture in the greenhouse, which affects their main business. So we can't have that. So, but we started talking about it again. And if I get a dry product, then I'm going to travel the country with you, and we're going to go everywhere.
Let's go. Listen, I'm all for it. I mean, there's I make a lot of products. A lot of people don't even know what a tincture is, but I tincture a lot of products, which is basically drawing scent out of different products that I make. And
Yeah.
I've never done it, and I've thought about it but because I don't use your product, I never really, took it to, made it completely happen. But I've thought about maybe doing a liquid for you, something that for the times it sounds like there are some times when a guy might not be able to get it if he's just doesn't time everything right. But yeah, listen, when you're ready to hit the road, we'll go. We'll go. Because I actually don't. I do a lot of shows throughout the year, but the shows I do are really all fishing shows because I make a fishing bait, I make fishing scent. The fishing season basically goes on all year long at some part of the country, most of the country. The deer season, a lot of the stuff I make is not something that I could really sell after the season or too early before, because I try to do everything fresh.
Right.
But yeah, we could definitely. I got enough SKUs now that we could hit the road and probably do a really nice presentation, to all the hunters out there. And you know what? You got to have fun with all of this stuff.
Oh yeah. Yep. We even invested in a machine that grinds up all the bulbs into just to picture sawdust, and we extracted all the liquid. And I was going to make a block of the dried magic deer bait and sell it with a gallon of the liquid, so you could put it out and then So we messed around with the liquid at one point as well. We took the liquid right out of the bulbs and and messed around with it a little bit as well. But I think there's a lot that can be done.
I don't know. You're busy when you do this. You're busy, right? So when the season starts, you're busy, and I know leading up to the season, you're preparing. Like I do the same kind of thing. I prepare. June, July, August is right through the hunting season is probably just as busy for you as it is for me.
Yeah.
But as I'm asking you these questions, and this is awesome. I appreciate you doing this with me. I'm thinking about, boy, I would like to try it. Because of the food out front, it's definitely worth the trip. So I'm definitely going to try it this year. But I'm thinking about all the people outside of this New Jersey area where you're located that bait. They try to outbait their neighbor. They try to use something different than their neighbor. And I'm sure they are going to be they're going to be on you're going to have people joining your group from all over, which I'm sure you already have, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. We have a guide service guy in Virginia. He drives up and gets a trailer load and takes it down. We have other people from Ohio that come and get it and take it out there. But you just have to, you got to make it a quick trip, and cooler temperatures. People are coming from different states now already.
Yeah, that's inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. It's going to happen. Have you guys ever devised any kind of way where, or has any of your customers that I'm sure it's like a religion to them to use it. I know it is. I've seen it on your page. Have they figured out a way to try to keep it cool, like in their shed or something?
Yeah. So
like fans or.
Well, yeah, you can do that. But over the years, what I do at home is I put it underneath a trailer and I have a gravel area, or you can put it on a pallet, right? The key is not to stack it on top of each other, and you keep it outside so the air can pass over it, and you want to keep it somewhat dry. And as long as you do that, they'll hold up even in warm temperatures. And a couple customers, they actually got a big horse watering trough, filled up with water, kept the bags in the water, and they stayed mint condition.
Really?
That's a lot of work, and they take in more water, so they get heavier. But yeah, they've come up with everything to keep them when the temperatures are warmer out.
Really cool. Yeah. Really cool. And Bruce, there's not a website, right? Just the Facebook?
Just the Facebook.
Okay. Yep. And before we wrap it up, is there anything else you wanted to add, or
No, I think you covered everything without knowing what you're going to cover. You did great.
I have no idea. I like to just wing stuff. I didn't write anything down or anything, but Facebook's strange. You feel like you know people. Like I feel like I know you. Yeah. We don't know each other, but we know each other enough to know that I wanted to have you on here. Yeah. I see. Like I said, your customers are the testimonials, and it's it's intriguing to watch how it's working and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. And so, no, it's awesome. The thing I want to ask, the last thing I want to ask you is, I want you to just give us, for all of your customers and anybody watching this and myself, give us one story of either something that sticks out in your head, and it could be from a year ago or 10 years ago. What's like a personal best that somebody else got, or something that really, when you got off the phone with them, you actually were like, man, I'm actually glad I'm doing this because it really helped that guy.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of those. There's a lot. Every year it seems like I got to help somebody, do better in hunting, right? And I think it's just because like you and I, we have so many years of experience hunting that sometimes I find something that works well and I kind of share it with them. And there's so many stories I can't really pinpoint one, but 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, I have 18 acres by my house that I have permission to hunt. And the woman that owns the property called me and says, "Hey, my niece's boyfriend would like to hunt." I'm like, "Well, it's your property. You make the call." She goes, "No, I know you hunt it and you like to manage deer, and I want you to give him permission." So I said, "Well, maybe let me meet him." So they came right over. I met him, nice young man. And the way the property's setting, it's easier for me to go in the backside of the property, and I let him have the beginning part of her piece, and it's absolutely the best part of the property, right? And I told him that, and I said, "I'll bait for you, and I'm going to show you the exact tree to hunt." I said, "Please don't go to another tree. I have this area figured out." And it's one of those trees where it almost seems like every buck passes by, right? And I'm like, I'm going to give it to him just to have a great experience. And his first sit, he killed our Big Ten that was running around. And
Really?
I was like,
Nice.
I was happy. And then I was like,
Yeah.
I was just going to start hunting that deer Saturday. He killed it Friday. And
Yeah.
it was really cool because we wound up calling, he made a little bit of a, back shot, a little back. And I told him, let it go for the whole day. If you shot the deer, I think it is, let it go for the whole day. And then we'll get Casey Mackin or one of the dog trackers and we'll go look for it. So we did. And it took us like 3 hours. That deer wound up staying alive most of the day. And we wound up finding it. And he was just tickled to death. It was a beautiful deer too. So
Yeah.
that was one of my stories that sticks out the most. Put him in a tree, put magic deer bait out for him, and he killed the buck that was running around and probably everybody wanted.
Oh, Bruce, that's a kind of story I was hoping for. I mean, that's awesome that you did
Yeah.
that. I mean, he'll never forget that. I'm sure you're
No,
not going to forget it either,
no,
but he's definitely never going to forget it.
no.
And
Yeah.
that's now, is he somebody who could be a customer or is a customer now of yours, or?
Well, he didn't hunt this year because he had a dirt bike accident, so he wasn't able to
Okay.
hunt. But so I didn't even get to talk to him this year at all.
Okay.
But
I gotcha.
he's further north where I am. See, I'm not by the greenhouse either.
Oh, okay.
So I'm north, just so you know.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, where you don't have to tell me where you're located, but so how long do you drive to get to the greenhouse? Because I heard
It's
how much you have to go every day.
It's an hour. It's an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. $8 after hearing all of this is incredible. People better come and support you because you're putting a lot of work in.
Yeah.
So forget the story. That story is awesome. You're dedicated to this. I mean,
It's
people
my
are
passion.
relying on you. It's your passion, absolutely. And people are relying on you. And I had no idea that you drove an hour just to go there and do what you explained to us earlier. I thought like it was in your backyard or something.
No.
Wow.
Wow. It's all about the customers for me.
No doubt. There's no doubt about it. Bruce, awesome. We're gonna wrap it up. I think the crazy thing is that people are gonna see this now, and we're out of deer season right now. But this thing's going to get shared, and as we come back around, it's going to, as we get closer to the deer season, it's going to be, I'm sure, getting shared around a lot again. But there's a lot of people that are going to watch this for the first time, meet you, understand what it's about, that are going to be just jonesing for September to come around. You know, it's awesome. So everybody get out there, make sure you check out, get on Facebook. It's a group. It's the Magic Deer Bait is a group. Get on there. I guess they can join, and
I'll accept them. I am pretty strict on, I vent every person that wants to join, and I kind of like to have deer pictures on their page somewhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And it's funny you say that, because somehow or another you let me in.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I know. And it's crazy, because on my personal page, I don't have a lot of deer. I have deer pictures, but you'll have to, I don't have a ton of deer pictures on there. I mean, I shoot a couple, I shoot deer every year, and I don't always post them up on there, because I'm so focused on the other social media I have that sometimes I don't. But I'm glad I'm in that group, because I got to.
Well, you're a legend, so I knew who you were. So I'm
not a legend. I'm far from a legend. Legend in my own mind, maybe. But Bruce,
we all are.
Yeah, absolutely. What you have there is astonishing. I mean, and the amount of work you put in might be more astonishing than the product. I don't know, but they sound like they're both about equal.
Yeah.
And I'm not a customer of yours, but I got to say thank you for a passion in this business like that. Is a true entrepreneur. That's just awesome.
Awesome.
It's
appreciate
awesome.
it.
So, Bruce, thanks so much. I really appreciate you coming on. I know I was trying to drag you on here, and I don't know if you ever did something like this before, but I really haven't done a whole lot of this stuff either. But I like sharing stories and products, and your product is much more meaningful to me now than it ever was before. And I can't wait to find out how this works for you, because you're getting a lot of information out there to people who probably were wondering like I was. So, one last time, Bruce, thank you so much. And best of luck to you with the business. And best of luck to you with your upcoming hunting season.
Awesome. Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.